most of the stuff is still gonna be free, and that is marketing. That's how you get people into your funnel, you get people into your ecosystem, get people excited with you, and for lack of a better word, like literally obsessed with you enough that they would become your raving fan and pay you for something that they could get for free.
Hey, welcome to the Video Entrepreneur Podcast powered by Uscreen.tv. This is your host, Rob Balasabas, Head of Partnerships here at Uscreen. And in this episode, we have Jaimie Myers joining me to talk about the creator economy and marketing a video business in 2022. Jaimie is our Director of Marketing here at Uscreen. She's also a creator herself and a parent of 3, which includes her very cute, very adorable puppy, which you can meet if you follow her on Instagram. Formerly known as being Insta-famous, she's made a career for herself in the creator space, enabling marketing teams to create innovative and exciting omni-channel strategies. She was formerly the director of marketing at 2 massively successful fitness brands and has started not 1, but 2 marketing and advertising strategies as well. Now, these days, Jaimie's based in Charlotte, North Carolina, but we'll never let anyone forget she's a true Wisconsin girl at heart. You're gonna enjoy this conversation a lot. I know I will. So without further ado, let's meet Jaimie. All right, Jaimie, welcome to the podcast. Really excited to have you here. I think you're the first team member that is a guest during my time as a podcast host here. So really excited to have you. Before we, jump into, I've got a bunch of questions because you've got a really awesome track record of running different businesses on the marketing side. Why don't you just introduce yourself to our audience out there?
Thank you. It's really an honor to be here. I'm really excited to be chatting with you today, Rob. I feel like I'm in the presence of somebody who's very famous because you seem to know everybody. And so I'm really excited to be on the Video Entrepreneur Podcast. So thank you for inviting me. So to answer your question and introduce myself a little bit, I'm Jaimie Myers. I'm the Director of Marketing here at Uscreen. Currently, I may be one of the only people in existence, it's just a joke, to have actually gone to college for what I do for a living, which I never thought that I'd be kind of in this atmosphere of advertising and media buying, but I'm really fortunate to have found it. So my background, let's see, for the past few years, I've been working in fitness marketing, and now I've come over into Uscreen. I got here really because during the pandemic, the fitness company that I was working for wanted to do live streaming, wanted to do video on demand, and so we were using Uscreen, and so I became really familiar with it, and so that's how I got here, which is really exciting. Before that, I had started not 1, but 2 marketing agencies of my own. The first more in the social media and content creation space, which was really fun, but then I made a shift into kind of like the corporate space, if you can call it that. And then in between my last couple of jobs and Uscreen, I started another one doing Facebook advertising for a lot of small businesses in the fitness space. And so it's been a really varied and interesting career, kind of non-traditional, but so much fun because I've gotten to connect with so many different types of creators, business owners, both big and small.
That's incredible. Yeah, you are. I want to talk about sort of your experience as a creator as well. But funny enough, you mentioned college. You went to Wisconsin, right? Is that true? It's like you're Wisconsin.
Yes,
yeah.
I
Okay. So
did.
tell us about that. How did you end up where you are now?
Yeah, good question. I grew up in Wisconsin. I will never let anybody forget. I'm kind of a Midwest girl at heart. I've got that Canadian accent. And so I grew up there. Right after high school, I actually went to a smaller college and then transferred to UW. And it took me a really long time to graduate college. It took 8 years. I went part-time for most of it because I had children really young, which was, to me, didn't seem like a big deal. But now people are like, wow, that's like a really hard thing to do. And I've started to kind of come to terms with that. But it was a great experience. It was a little bit different for me in that I was very much like a adult student for a lot of the time that I was in college. So it wasn't like in the party scene. It's very much a party school, but also really, really high education level. I went to the School of Journalism and I went like 9 months pregnant, which to me now is like, wow, like I didn't even think it was a big deal at the time because I just felt like I had to do it. But I think that probably was harder, especially with the Wisconsin winters and snow boots, trudging to class, and I didn't live near campus, so It was really hard, but I had some really cool professors there who really kind of pushed me in the right directions at the right times in my life. I remember I was in a class, it was in one of my like intro classes in journalism, and I was like, I want to be a New York Times reporter, or I want to be like on TV. Like that was all I wanted to be, along with like most journalism students, I think at the time. We all wanted to kind of work for the New York Times or be on the Today Show or something. And I got a paper back, and the TA came up to me and she said, "You do not have a voice for reporting." And I was like, "What?" And she said, "You really should go into PR." And so from there, I started to go more in that direction in my field. And I thought that I was going to end up in PR, but in that kind of strategic communication space, there was also media planning and media buying, which is what drew my interest the most in that advertising space. I definitely, at that time, still thought that I was going to be like at the upfronts in New York City buying ads during the Super Bowl, and that's not quite how it panned out. Really lucky to have discovered social media and the digital space, and now I buy lots of ads on Facebook. So good times.
Here you are. Yeah, no, I don't think I've told you this, but actually, I never went to school for marketing at the tail end of my my college years. I actually went to school for accounting. So I wanted to be like a stockbroker suit back in the day, which is definitely the opposite of life now. Like I'm literally in sweats and sweaters, so most of the time.
Which is way more fun. I cannot picture you as that, but I think you're in the right space. I got a C in accounting. I also tried to go into business school and I did not do well. And so I abandoned ship really, really quickly.
Yeah, no. Accounting and was not for me. But yeah, no, that's really cool. Talking about journalism, I actually follow this guy named Johnny Harris. He used to be one of the faces for Vox. Talking about how you wanted to get into journalism and but I'm seeing a lot of people that are in that world sort of breaking off into their own channels. Like they'll work for a big, publication or a big corporate media, I guess, and then they'll break off and have their own voice on YouTube and stuff like that. So.
Yeah, that's very true. I think I follow a girl on Instagram who was a big face for one of those online publications. Maybe it was BuzzFeed, maybe another one, but she's now broken off. She's got her own big personal brand, creating a lot of the same types of content, but she just kind of decided to go do it on her own instead of for the corporate entity, which I think is really indicative of this creator world that we live in. You don't have to work for the man. You can kind of just do your own thing and create amazing things.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, on that note, let's talk about the creator economy, because this is something you're very familiar with. What do you think about now? There is this shift of business owners sort of identifying themselves as creators as well as entrepreneurs. It's very cool to be a startup founder / creator, right? I think it's sort of the new rock star thing, I'm a founder, and then I'm also a creator, right? So what do you think of this trend?
Yeah, I mean, I personally love it. I love the world of creators. I love that more people are in tune with this idea of creativity than ever before. I think probably even 10 years ago, we'd have more of the population saying I'm not creative, I can only do X. But now we see people that are of all types, from people like accountants to doctors to artists to a lot of different types of creators, really identifying themselves as creator or as founder. And I think a lot of that really has to do with the digital landscape, with social media, and with people who did make it really big, make it seem really attractive. Kind of like how, pro athletes used to, when I was a kid anyway, it was you wanted to be that because you saw these big names, or you wanted to be an actress or something like that. And now it's it seems kind of easy to make it in the creator space. I can say for sure that's not the case, but it seems like a really viable thing to do, and really fun with all this freedom that goes along with it, which I think millennials and Gen Z and Gen Alpha and everybody kind of feels like it's really appealing to have that freedom, be able to do what you want to do, and be able to create your kind of own space.
Yeah. What's your favorite platforms to consume content?
These days, my favorite platform is for sure TikTok. I will admit it. A couple of years ago, I remember I was sitting at a desk next to one of my workmates who worked in IT, and I looked at him and I said, TikTok is going to be huge. It's going to be a really big deal. And he was like, back then it really was like more like teenagers, musically kind of stuff, like dance videos. And I just knew, I was like, how easy is it for somebody to create content on here? So I'm a really big fan of TikTok these days. I actually found myself the other night, I was kind of trying to watch TV, kind of trying to watch Netflix, but I also was like drawn to my phone, which I think we all are these days, like
Guilty.
multi-platform, multi-device users. But I actually paused and turned off my TV just to watch TikTok because I kind of was like just more engrossed in the content there. And the interesting thing about TikTok is like everybody's on a different version of it. So like Rob's on a different version of TikTok than Jaimie, than some of our other workmates, than my kids even, who are in that kind of like teenage phase. They're definitely there, and we all are getting different kinds of content. But for me, it was really consumable content, really quick stuff, but also helpful, informative, and not just kind of like dance videos. And so that's what draws me to the platform. So I'm a big TikTok fan. I will say, like, I grew up on Instagram, and so I'm a big fan of that too. It's like where my creator fame comes from for sure is on Instagram, and I can't let that platform go as much as I don't always love the things going on there. I don't think they're keeping up quite as much with some of the other channels. And lately also, I think I've gotten like more into YouTube. I've always been a little bit hesitant personally of YouTube just because I grew up on TV, and so I consume a lot of Netflix. I'm like a champion binger in that arena, and so I never quite like got into watching YouTube as an alternative, where I know a lot of people that I'm friends with do kind of consume content there more in that way. But I think for me, I enjoy short form content the most because it's quick to consume. I'm really busy. I've got a lot going on, and I don't have as much time for long form. Like even when I am watching Netflix, it's like for the most part shows I've already seen. So it's like in the background, I don't need to pay as much attention, and maybe that's just my short attention span speaking. But I think TikTok is definitely like, if we're talking about the one that I'm most interested in, most intrigued by, I think is going to have like the most impact in the coming years. I think that's the one to watch.
Yeah, I agree. I think businesses are trying to figure out TikTok, us included, right? Trying to figure out where does TikTok fit. But it's very interesting. Even listening to you, and even when I think about it, there's so many platforms that you are consuming on. I mean, multiple, not so many, but multiple. So as a business owner, it's kind of that like struggle of where do I build? Like I want to be everywhere, but some businesses don't have the bandwidth or capacity to be everywhere. They don't have marketing teams and things like that. So, where do you think like, a solopreneur, for example, that has limited, bandwidth with social media, how do they decide? How do they pick a platform? What would you advise them? Anybody listening?
That's a really good question. I think it's kind of a few-fold. One, I think it's really important, especially for somebody who's like a solopreneur, doesn't have a lot of resources or a big team, to pick a platform that they already use and enjoy. Too often I've seen people think like, oh, I should be on Instagram, but they don't engage with Instagram, or they don't really enjoy the platform. They don't enjoy creating the kind of content that the people want there. And so I think number one, you have to enjoy the platform that you choose, because it's just going to make your content that much better. Like if you love writing short, quippy stuff, like Twitter's the place for you. Get there and just do it really well. Own that space. I think there's room for everybody, for every kind of niche and audience to be on any kind of platform. So that's number one. You have to really enjoy creating content for that platform, or at least understand how the platform works for sure. The second is figuring out where your audience, or where the people that you're trying to reach are already consuming content, and finding a marriage of the former question of do I enjoy creating content there, and where they are. Because if you try to do too many of them, you will inevitably kind of like flop a little bit because you'll be too busy, you'll forget one. And these social media platforms these days require a lot of attention. They require a high level of content creation. People really pay attention to that. I think consumers are more discerning than they ever have been before. They're really quick to hit unfollow and follow, but more probably quick to say like, not interested anymore, like unfollow. And then it's so easy to lose somebody. And so you have to spend enough time on a platform to really get to know the people there. So I think those are the kind of like most important considerations to make is where are my people and where do I enjoy creating, and then finding the marriage between the two. And it's not going to be all of them. I think for larger businesses, probably including ours, we like to be everywhere because we need to be everywhere. But even for Uscreen, for example, there are some of the social media platforms that we put less stock into than others. We don't spend as much time creating content specifically for Facebook, but we spend a lot of time on Instagram and on TikTok and on YouTube because we know that video creators are going to be on those platforms, and because we have teammates who enjoy creating for those. Does that mean that Facebook is a bad social media platform? No, it's a great social media platform, obviously, but it's just not for everybody anymore. It's definitely shifted a lot. And we may get back there when we decide to do more stuff with community. And so it's about a few things for sure. Do I like it? Where are my people? And how much bandwidth do I have? And do the people that I'm working with have?
That's a great answer. That's a really good answer. It's such a big question, right? It's like, oh man, like there's so much FOMO happening. There's so much like I should be here, and I heard this like expert say that I should be on Facebook or Instagram. It's like, oh man, how do I do that? How to do that well? So yeah. What are some trends that you're seeing? Like, let's just dive into even TikTok or short form content in general. What are some of the trends that you're seeing out there? Because I know that we share some things back and forth within our team. Like, oh man, this is happening. Yeah. What are some of those that you're kind of like surprised with, or just like really grabs your attention?
Let's go TikTok.
Yeah.
So I think on TikTok, a couple of the trends that I'm seeing are, I kind of, in my head, I call TikTokers like mini YouTubers, because the version that I'm on of TikTok is like people who are very serious about making really great videos, but they're just shorter and they're vertical. And so the form is just a little bit different than your kind of traditional YouTuber, in that they're taking a little bit more time to create something that's really short, and the messaging has to be really tight. And so some of the niches that are doing this really well are people who are working in like food. I follow this one girl, I think her name is like Justine Snacks, and her videos are so well produced and they're only a minute long, but she's taught me so much. And I take the information and I'm like, wow, like I should make that today. And then I will actually go and make it. And so it is very similar to YouTube in that sense. It's just shorter and it's a vertical video. So I see kind of the trend of short form video is like people are able to, they have more accessibility to it because it's not as, they don't see it as difficult to produce. They can just take their iPhone, set it up, get it done, use the TikTok tools to edit it and send it out in the world, and do that at a much larger volume, which we all know like TikTok is very fast moving. You have to create a lot of content in order to get popular there. And so that's one trend I see. Another that I'm seeing a lot of is people vlogging on TikTok, which vlogging is actually something that I was kind of interested in on YouTube. I always kind of like sat in the world of like mommy blogger type people, and so a lot of them do like family vlogs, things like that I always thought were really interesting. But you see now creators doing like a daily vlog on TikTok, and it's not particularly interesting. It's like 60 seconds of content, but they're doing it every single day to get a lot of attention and to get really vulnerable with their audiences, which that's something that I'm really interested in, is kind of like this YouTube versus TikTok. Like, are they really the same kind of creators question, which I'm going to do the hot take of yes, but just in different formats.
Yeah, that's a big question. That's actually a really big discussion when I talk to a lot of our guests that are on YouTube. They're like, I don't know if my audience is on TikTok. It's like, yes, they are, but and then it's always that battle of like, what do I make on TikTok that's not already on YouTube? and it's like this whole thing back and forth. But yeah, I mean, it's those are some really interesting trends that you shared. On the recipes, like there's recipes. There's also like reaction videos that I see on YouTube, reacting to TikTok videos, or there's actually this one vlogger that I follow, and he's like, I'm gonna make all the recipes, the trending recipes from TikTok. And I would watch it. I'm like, why am I watching this guy just do all the TikTok, famous recipes? Very interesting. But yeah, no, that's really cool. I know we talked a little bit about some of the challenges for creators, like trying to figure out which platform to be on. But what are you seeing out there, just in the space that, creators are facing in terms of actually turning their content into a business?
Yeah, that's a really good question. I think one of the bigger challenges that creators are facing is figuring out how to monetize, because there are a lot of different options, but I think there's a lot of like stars in the sky in terms of which ones are like easy, don't require a lot of work, things like getting to be part of creator funds, or even on TikTok, I feel like there's a lot of TikTokers that are like, it's easy, just post lots of content and then you'll get emails and brand deals and job opportunities. And that may be happening for some people, but it's not happening for everybody. In fact, I'm in a lot of Facebook groups about marketing, and I saw a woman post, and she posted a screenshot of her TikTok. She had 100,000 followers and a very niche following, but she said, I don't understand why I'm not getting brand deals, but people with 5,000 followers are getting brand deals. It doesn't make sense to me. It's like, it's a little bit harder for some people than other people. So I think that's one of the challenges, is it seems like it's going to be really easy because for some people it is, and some niches it is. For sure, like in the fashion beauty categories, it's like, that's a lot of e-commerce. And so it's kind of like really obvious, easy, and that industry is already and has been really in tune with this like influencer economy already for a long time. And so it's simple for them. They're already probably on some really nice tools for influencers, looking for these TikTokers and just sending out brand deals like nobody's business. And it probably takes up a majority of their marketing budget. But for somebody else who's maybe in an industry or a niche that isn't in that space yet, it becomes a little bit more challenging. And so somebody could be putting an equal amount of work or even more work or better work in than somebody who is just kind of on there showing outfits. Not that there's anything wrong with that. I think it's great. I follow a lot of that content, like a lot, but the effort doesn't always equal the dollars or the brand deals. And so I think that's one challenge, is that there's probably not enough education out there about the different types of ways that you can monetize a video business or monetize your creator business. It's kind of like there's ones that just stick out in the stars, like brand deals, creator funds, affiliates. Like those things are great, but not everybody's going to have luck with them. And so I think it's important for creators to have more education about the types of opportunities that there are, but also feel empowered to take control a little bit more about what it is, and not just kind of wait for the opportunities to come.
Yeah, that's very true. Yeah, like there's brands, or there are verticals like fashion and software where, the companies tend to know that there's a return on influencers, and some that aren't. That is quite sad. Yeah, I like what you said there about like figuring out how to monetize, because I mean, where do you find that education, right? Like sometimes it is like that misconception of like, hey, this could be so easy. Like I'm seeing, this person like blow it up. Like I could do that. I can look like them and make this kind of content. What are like some viable like places that, creators can get business education?
I'll give a shameless shout out to the Uscreen blog.
Let's go. Yes.
I mean, we really do have a content team who is just pushing out blog post after blog post after blog post, and they are not little bitties. They are the real deal. They're long, really full of content. And so I'm going to give a shameless shout out to our blog, but I also think there are a lot of people on YouTube, on TikTok, who are trying to educate about this, who are talking about it. So if you need search terms, like search up how to monetize creator economy, and you'll start to kind of like get into that algorithm to feed you more of that. It is more challenging, I think, than we want it to be. But I would say surround yourself by people who you think are doing it really well. Try to get into their communities, and try to learn from other people. it's sometimes like we think the question or the answers are just going to come to us, but we haven't asked the questions yet. So I think like for creators out there who are wondering, like, where do I get this information? You got to kind of dig for it a little bit, search for it, slide into people's DMs, ask anybody, because the more knowledge that we share, the better. If you are a creator who knows this kind of stuff, share it with other people, sing it out loud, because the bigger this creator industry is, the more people that know how to do it. That's a good thing. And it only fuels a lot of things, really, but it fuels this industry, and it fuels creatives, it fuels the social media platforms to do better, to create better tools for them, and it fuels companies like ours to do better too, and to be able to create better tools and understand our consumers a little bit better.
Yeah, it's great. That's great. Yeah, just start connecting with the creators that are actually doing it. Yeah, it's great. Well, okay, I wanna shift a little bit, because we kind of just like really quickly noted it, but you used to work for a Uscreen customer that has done very well using Uscreen. And so I want to ask you, what are some of the ways, like the folks that are listening, that may be looking to build their own Netflix or their own platform of, you know, monetizing their videos? How do they make that shift? How do they get people from TikTok or Instagram or YouTube over to, you know, from that free content over to paying you for specific content, or maybe even some of the same content? So how do you do that?
I think that's a great question. Is like, if you already have a lot of content somewhere else and you're looking to monetize it, sometimes the question will be like, well, why would somebody pay me for something that I'm already doing for free? Or how am I even going to get them from X to Z to Y to A to B? You know what I'm saying? So how do I get them there? And also, just how is the big question.
That's the big question. How? Yeah.
It's a few things. In terms of how to get people from A to B, there's channels in between that I think are really important. I am a huge fan of email marketing, always will be, but I think that's a big myth sometimes for creators, is they think like, I'm just going to promote that I have this business that people can come buy stuff. And unless you're like the most popular creator and your merch is going to sell out in 6 minutes, I saw that happen the other day, by the way, and my mind was blown. Unless you're that popular, you're going to have to do some more legwork in between. You're going to have to figure out how to build an email list, figure out your sales channels, really think about your funnels and how they work. And so it's a little bit more challenging, but 100% achievable. It's just about kind of making sure that you're using all of your marketing channels, and you're not necessarily looking at it as, if I have followers and subscribers and I tell them about this thing, they're going to come here, because they do love your free content, but there's some nurturing that has to happen in the middle to get them to understand why they have to pay for it. Now, that begs the question of, why would they pay for it? And it's all in the value prop, really. Even if you took all of your YouTube content, you put it in a platform and you wanted to sell those videos, it's really like about how you message it, about how you organize it, make it into a course, make it sequential, make it into a program. For a lot of our fitness creators out there, there are things that you can do to just organize it a little bit better and kind of create it into this package that's so nicely tied up with a bow, so that the subscribers or the followers no longer have to discover and find your content, but you're giving it to them, this, again, beautiful little package that they just have to pay for, and then it's ready to go for them. And that is a lot of the value prop, is just organizing it in a way that's more consumable and easy for people to get. The other part of it is there something premium or something that you can add on top of the video content that you're already creating? Can you have exclusive videos just for your paid subscribers? Can you have live streaming just for your paid subscribers? Can you have additional live streaming if you want to do like once a day and you want to do 2 more, but they're only for your paid subscribers? Can you do that? The money there is going to add up. And so you just have to figure out, like, what is that premium offer that I can add on top of that? Maybe it's even that they get access to a special community or something like that, being part of your paid subscriber base. So it's making sure that all of your marketing channels are being used, and you're not just kind of wishing and hoping because you have a follower base on on a social media platform and on YouTube that you'll all of a sudden just be selling things, because that's just not really how it works. You are going to have to do some marketing in between. But also, what is that offer? What is that special thing that's like people will get FOMO, they're going to want it? And then how can you, once you have a subscriber base, create that FOMO, create that excitement around the people who are paying for it so that they're going to go tell other people?
Yeah. No, that's good. The, I actually was talking to, we talked to a lot of creators, but I talked to a smaller creator, I guess a smaller creator, I think he had about a few thousand subscribers, and he was doing very well financially with his business because he, was really thinking about the distribution. And I think that's kind of what we're talking about here now, right, Jaimie? It's like distribution channels for your content and looking at your content as like a product, and where do I put it? What shelves, do I put it in? Because then I was talking to another creator that had a much larger, I think it was probably around 80 or 70,000 subscribers on YouTube, but couldn't really figure out what goes into my membership and and the questions that we were just talking about now, like, what do I put there? And couldn't really wrap, his head around, like, why would somebody pay me for content that I have here already? And it's interesting because, like, yeah, larger audience, but just couldn't wrap their head around the distribution side. And so I think that's probably, again, back to the education you're talking about.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's about, for those people, you still have to give away a lot of stuff for free.
Yeah.
That's the expectation of consumers and of viewers these days. Is like, you have to give away the farm, but you have like your prize horse in the stable and they're what people come to see, and they have to pay $5 for it. It's like that. You have to give it all away, most of it, and then figure out that little piece of, what am I going to hold special, or what am I going to make different for the people who are going to pay, and what is the value to them? Make sure you do some pricing modeling and things like that. But most of the stuff is still going to be free, and that is marketing. That's how you get people into your funnel, you get people into your ecosystem, get people excited with you, and for lack of a better word, like literally obsessed with you enough that they would become your raving fan and pay you for something that they could get for free. If you think about it, you can get almost anything, any knowledge that you would get and pay for free on the internet. You can learn how to work out for free on the internet. You can pretty much get a college education for free on the internet. You can learn anything in the creative space for free online, but people pay for those services to learn it quicker in a more organized fashion all the time. And the same goes for content that you create. You just have to figure out that piece in between of what's the special thing, what's the prize that people are going to want once they're really obsessed with you.
Yeah, that's it. That's really it. I'm going to give a shout out to, Jason David, one of our users, like his YouTube channel, you guys can look it up. Jason David Music. He has about 6,000 subscribers on YouTube. But if you guys listen to his interview, I think we did an interview recently on our YouTube channel. He's doing very, very well on his Uscreen membership. So, you don't need a massive channel. Just need to think about the distribution. What Jaimie said here, people, what do you need to do to get people to really just like want to support you? And I like what you said about organization. I think that's a huge part of what people pay for too. Amazing. Okay, I've got one final question for you, Jaimie, but before we jump into that, let's let people know where to connect with you. Where are you active on platforms? Where can people connect with you if they want to maybe even bring you onto their podcast or anything like that?
Yeah, absolutely. So definitely, if you're listening, we would love to have you follow us, Uscreen, on TikTok. That's kind of a platform that we're really excited about this year. So look up Uscreen TV on TikTok. But if you want to connect with me personally, you can find me on Instagram. That's like the easiest way to get connected is at Jaimie Myers. We'll put that in the show notes on Instagram. But also you can find me on LinkedIn. Feel free, email me. We can stick that out there too. But I'm definitely most active on Instagram. You'll find me mostly posting puppy pictures, which hopefully hopefully everybody in our audience loves as much as I do. I've become really obsessed with my puppy this year, but that's the best place. I check my DMs frequently, and I like to connect with people there.
Yep. If you want a daily dose of Jaimie's puppy on the stories, you'll get it. You'll get it. So follow her on Instagram. That's awesome. Fantastic. Okay, final question for you, Jaimie. For everybody out there listening, what is, you're in the middle of this. We are here at Uscreen of the creator economy. What's your prediction or a tip for creators looking to monetize their content in 2022 and beyond?
I think my tip, let's go there. My tip for creators who want to monetize their content this year is to just do it. I think we just touched on this a little bit, is like, no matter how big your audience is, if you're building an audience of people who are really engaged with you, you can find that thing. There is that thing for you that you can monetize in one way or another, no matter how you do it. But I think that the trick is to not let that imposter syndrome get in the way. There's lots of us out here who want to become creators in one way or another, myself included. I definitely struggle with that imposter syndrome. But I think it's important to kind of get past that and just decide that you're going to do it, explore the avenues with which you could, and then go for it. The worst that could happen is nothing. The worst that can happen is you've learned something. And so that's my big tip, is to really just go for it and to explore avenues outside of monetizing just with creator funds, just with affiliate links, and just with brand deals. You really want to go out there and take control of your own fate, of your own business. Treat it like one. I think that's really important too. Like, if you want to make money being a creator, if you want it to be a hobby, treat it as a hobby. Totally cool. But if you're out there and you're like, I want to make this a business, I want to make it a really big business, you can. The tools are at your disposal. It's just a matter of making that decision to treat it like that.
You're speaking my language. just get on and do it. That's amazing. I love it. Jaimie, this has been so good, and just excited for the years to come. And I'm really cool that you're leading our marketing team here. So thanks for hanging out with us, and we'll see you in the next episode. I hope you enjoyed that episode. Make sure you're subscribed to the show so you don't miss any new episodes as they're published each week. And if you want to learn more about using Uscreen for your business or want to join our affiliate partner program, head over to uscreen.link/podcast to get more information. And I'll see you in the next episode.